the old camera, but we're away now. And the Tigers have won the toss and they're kicking to the city end, which is to our right, and they're kicking into about a 1 or 2 goal breeze. Well, it's a gale actually, but the water on the ground is going to really nullify the effect of the wind. The Sharks are going forward. They've kicked out wide now to the wing, and this is going to be very difficult. I'd suggest 7 goals here will win the game today. Bevan.
Yes, Jim, I'm tipping Brooklyn. I tipped Boat Harbour yesterday, but I think Brooklyn in these conditions will be very hard to beat. And as much as I'd like to see Boat Harbour take the title today, they hadn't won it under the name of Boat Harbour Sharks. I just think that Brooklyn might be too strong in the wet. As we see the ball getting into the middle now, but it looks like a free kick handed out to the Boat Harbour Sharks player, which is Mummery, Scott Mummery, at about the true centre-half back position. The ball's still fairly clean, Jim. It's not waterlogged at this stage. He takes a sideways kick. That's dangerous. Jeremy White doesn't quite cut it off. Adrian Hall takes the ball. He kicks straight to Graham Hobbs. Conditions are very difficult, as you see. Hobbs about to get tackled, but he gets the ball clear. Very experienced player in the wet in these conditions in finals. And Adrian Hall gets his second possession. A great mark right in the back pocket area. Adrian Hall in the true back pocket position. He's directing traffic at the moment as he kicks long drop punt. Kicks it straight to Graham Hobbs. He fails to take the mark. The coach for Boat Harbour was held. That's Gavin Field, their coach. The true half-back position. Gavin Field about to kick the ball now. Kicks along the wing position on the grandstand side. He kicks it high. Boat Harbour player punches the ball on. Brooklyn have got the crummers though. Who's this? I can't quite see who that is, but Boat Harbour player cuts in across and he gets a free kick. That was Elliot Rogers, the previous player for Brooklyn Tigers. And this looks like Rawlings to me, Jim. Gardam, I should say. Gardam kicks long off the side of the boot somewhat. Robert Oberarder punches the ball clear. And that looks like a push in the back to the Brooklyn Tigers. That's Troy Sheehan. And Ian Walker, the joint best and fairest winner for this league, gave away that free kick. As Sheehan kicks the ball long. And who's that to? And a Brooklyn Tigers player, Tristan Dallas, takes the marker in the true wing position. Kicks it long, that's the way to go on the 4-on. There's the Crummers. Brooklyn have got a chance here off the pack. Andrew McLaren kicks the ball. No, he can't get there. It's rushed through for one behind. That's the first score on the board. And so that's the first score on the board. Brooklyn Tigers take the lead, one behind. Kicked out by the Boat Harbour Sharks player as my co-commentator takes over here.
Yes, and it's the Sharks now have got the ball on the outer wing. It's very, very heavy conditions, and there's a poor kick, and it looks like a Tiger mark's been taken, and that's looks like Greg Stubbs out there, and he'll slot the ball in. So he goes in for a short pass. It's short. Very hard to short pass in these conditions, and a good mark there. Good mark there, the captain Glenn Gardner in defence. And he kicks it out, and Adrian Hall takes the mark. The umpire King out there is just trying to get the fella back on the mark, and that's a good kick now. To the wing. Good contest out here. It's going to be very difficult to score goals. And Bevan, I would suggest probably 7 goals will just about do it for the winning side here today.
Yes, Jim, even 5 or 6 goals might win the day because I don't think conditions are going to get any better. As we see the ball scrambling, a scrambly bit of play out there as umpire Ian King says, fellas, give it to me, I'll ball up here. So Ian King right near the scoreboard, which sees Brooklyn Tigers lead by 1 point. As the ball goes up, Ruckman don't get a really clear hit out. They're kicking off the ground. That might be the order of the day, Jim. I think kicking the ball on the ground, off the ground, knocking it on. As Adrian Hall is in there, gets a short kick. Boat Harbour clear it, though, along the wing, number 3, Dennis. But Whack Walker, Ian Walker gets the ball, long kick, that's the way to go. To the true centre forward position. Gee, that could have been a free kick to his Boat Harbour teammate. But Brooklyn clear the ball. They're playing tough footy, both sides here. There's McLaren in there. No, Dennis beats into the ball. Jeremy White, he can't pick it up clean. Townsend, no, they're desperate in there, the players. Trying to get an early break. Kim Turali knocks the ball out. Elliot Rogers gets it clear. Probably overdoing a little bit there, Jeremy White. Almost a free kick. In fact, it is a free kick to Jeremy White. Slung a little bit late after he got rid of the ball as he kicks, so it's a poor kick. Elliot Rogers, number 7, he's going to kick long. That's the place, the top of the square. No one's there to mark it, but it could be a free kick. No free kick. Looked at possibility, but umpire says play on. As the Tigers fall on the ball. Still no free kick. Andrew McLaren over his shoulder. He might have kicked this one. I think he has. It's a goal to Brooklyn. Their captain, Andrew McLaren, having an either's tight
start to the Tigers, who actually may be going to the end where the wind might be just letting the ball carry a little bit further. And just to clarify the central umpires, we have Ian King with the ball now. We also have Dean Ledger in the centre. And King throws the ball up, and no real winning tap out there. And the Tigers get the ball out again. Oh, a bit of nasty stuff behind, which was unnecessary. The Tigers got the ball again coming forward. That's a great handball out there by Hobbsy. Hobbsy moves it on to what's got David Eastley. Has a shot for goal, and, well, it's not one of his best efforts. And there'll be a free kick taken down in the back line there by Gavin Townsend.
Yes, it's just disappointing, the conditions, Jim. Like, this is probably the worst day all year, I'd say, and it's just unfortunate for the crowd and for the climax of the season. But anyway, the best team that plays the wet weather football is going to win. As the ball's clicked by Dennis, I believe, from the back pocket position. That's a good clearing kick, almost to the wing. Townsend kicked it in, I should say, and the ball's knocked over the boundary line, right in front of the scoreboard.
Nathan Russell throwing the ball in.
So Nathan Russell, can hardly see him. You must have good eyes, Jim, over there. I can't see, but he's about to throw the ball in. They're doing a good job, the umpires, in these conditions. They earn their money today. As the ball's thrown in, looks like Choco, yeah, that's Gavin Field, but he couldn't get a clearing kick. Kim Torali's at the bottom of the pack. Oh, it's really hard to pick up players, but I think as the day goes on, it's getting worse, actually. Looks like, can't think of the guy's name. Daryl Carey kicked the ball, that's right. Gardam down there in front position there, and the two Tigers chasing him. That's good play by Gardam, and that's also good play by the Brooklyn player who clears the ball over the boundary line. Looks like Gibbs down there in the back pocket position. Interesting to see Robert Oberard in the forward line. I would have thought he'd be in the back line today, Jim.
Well, actually, that is their back line there, Bevan. He's a Tiger, so you're right there. And Anita Maxwell throws the ball in. That's a good, solid tap out by Cowans for the Tigers. And they are fighting desperately to try and get it out. There's no real winning there. And, oh, there's a tight one there from King. He's pinged that Sharks player for holding the ball. And it looks like it might be Cowans. No. It's going back to the ruckman there, and Sean Fellows, number 12, who's going to kick this ball well out of defence to the far side. He was looking there for, it looks like Elliot Rogers there going for the ball. And it's just going to be such a scrappy day. Holding the man there, it looks like the Sharks have got a free kick. It's number 7. And I can't quite make out the face from there. Robert Blair has got the ball, and he looks like he's going to try and kick it back into the 50. The forward half there for the Sharks. Again, it's definitely holding up into the breeze there. So the Tigers really, I think, need to get 2 or 3 goals on the board while the ball is dry and while they've got the wind behind their backs.
Yes, I think 2 or 3 goals quickly by the Tigers could be very, very crucial, because the ball is relatively dry at the moment. As the ball's kicked forward by Hobbs, and I think that might be in danger. Yes, he's raised his boot too close to the Boat Harbour player. And it looks like Gardner, I believe, Glenn Gardner, the captain of the Sharks. He's got the ball on the true wing position. Oh, that's a poor kick in these conditions. Need to kick long, young fella. Number 8, that looks like Daryl Carey. He kicks the ball long. That's spilled by the Brooklyn player. Gibbs, yeah, and it's also spilled by his teammate, Cowans. But the ball somehow gets it out to the wing position once again, whereas the Boat Harbour boys are in front there. Looks like Glenn Gardner out there battling away against 1 or 2 Tigers. He knocks it cleverly along the boundary line, but it's over and out of bounds. Yes, Jim, these conditions don't look as if they're going to improve, so I think we're in for a pretty wet afternoon.
Yeah, it just seems interesting that both teams are favouring the far side, which is the defensive side of the ground. I think the team which takes the bit between the teeth and comes out on this side, which will be the attacking side, I think are going to be the side which can get a couple of cheap goals, and that might be the only difference you need in order to, to get a good lead here today. And that's another free kick. Looked like it was a bit high on the Tiger player, and looks like it might be Shorty over there. And it's a long kick. It's going to be very hard to get the kicks any great distance today. A fine mark there by the Tigers. Again, very hard to see who the player is. But he'll be no doubt looking for McLaren up on the forward line here. His kick drops short. Was Hobbsy there. Looked like the Sharks are sort of going a bit the man on that occasion. And the Tigers a quick snap towards goal, and looks like going to be a throw in about 10 yards around from the behind post on the outer side. Again, little Nathan Russell's going to throw the ball in. He's going to have a long day today. Those little feet getting out of the mud. Good throw in. Gives every team a chance. And I reckon the umpire might come in and call this one a balled up again. No, he's picked one out there. That was a bit soft. And a free kick goes to the Tigers. And it looks like it's Gavin Graham Hobbs will be kicking for the Tigers' second goal. He'll be kicking from about 35 to 40 metres out. Very heavy conditions. I would suggest you need to aim very much to the right-hand side of the post. Right-hand goal post here as he lines this one up. He's a proven goal kicker, this fella. And he's played a lot at this ground, a former Wynyard player, and the umpire is deemed that has gone over the post. And these goal umpires in this league, they can't help making a name for themselves. 1-2-8, the Sharks are yet to score. And my tip today was the Sharks, but I'll tell you what, they're going to have to start getting in under the packs a little bit more. Just waiting here now, the ball has just gone in under the cars. Eli McDonald is looking for the ball to kick in. Just some of the matchups here. Wack Walker is obviously a key player for the Sharks, and he's got Troy Sheen on him today, and that'll be a tough job for Troy. Wack Walker is a very dangerous player. McDonald kicks in, looks like he stubbed his toes. He kicked it and it's fallen short. And again, that's Graham Hobbs. He's played on this time. He's kicked it low this time into the breeze, and that has gone straight through the middle, and the Tigers have kicked their second. The Tigers are now 2-2. 2 goals, 2-14, and the Sharks are yet to score. And the two danger men up in the forward line are really making their kicks count, Hobbs and McLaren. And over the last couple of years, they have been the two players that have kicked the goals in the grand final when the Tigers have won. So the Tigers 2-2, the Sharks yet to score.
Yes, I missed to kick that goal, Jim. Who was that again? Graham Hobbs kicked that goal, and he's been a welcome addition in the final series. Didn't play in the second semi-final, I don't believe, no. But he did actually play last week, so it's been a welcome addition. So Dean Ledger about to throw the ball up. I imagine he wouldn't even try and even think about bouncing it today, so it's very, very muddy in the middle. So the ball's thrown up by Dean Ledger. The ruckman, the combatants come in. That's kicked by Troy Sheen into centre half forward. So they're clearing the ball fairly well at the moment out of the middle, Brooklyn. That's a bit of a worry for the Boat Harbour boys. Graham Hobbs starting to really stake his claim on this match. Kicks the ball long. It's scrambled somehow, but it's still of benefit in these conditions. So the forward pocket. So on a day like today, 2 goals, even 2 goals too, is almost it's a fairly good lead in normal conditions, 4 or 5 goal lead. The ball's cleared, tried to be cleared by Boat Harbour, and in the end they would be pretty pleased to get out of the way. But there's a free kick given. Gee, I think he's pulled a free kick out to Brooklyn in front of goal. The big ruckman by the look of it. Jim, did you see it? Look like Troy Sheen's free kick, is it? No, it's actually gone to the ruckman there. It's Sean Fellows. He caught the ball in the ruck contest and tried to kick it, and then after the ball left the area, he was dumped by Gringo, the Sharks ruckman, and the umpire saw that. It was sort of off the ball there, and those sort of free kicks tend to be let go in these sort of conditions, so let's hope the umpires don't over-umpire in these conditions today. It's a crucial kick, this one too. So Fellows aims to the right goal post, and it doesn't look like it's come back enough. And it was a bit of an ungainly kick, but the ground is very soft underfoot, very hard to hold your feet. And another point to the Tigers. It's 2 goals, 3-15, and they lead the Sharks yet to score. Bevan, do you think anyone's going to score at the other end of the ground? I don't think that's a problem so much, Jim. I think it's more a case of getting the ball out of the middle, and I think Brooklyn are just with their tenacity and the way they're just knocking the ball forward. They seem to be playing better wet weather football at the moment. As Adrian Hall, he would be an important player in their chances today, Boat Harbour, as he clears the ball out to the back flank, and it just bobbles out of bounds. And I can see their coach Gavin Field playing a fair bit of football in their back half today, especially if the Tigers continually push the ball forward. Okay, the ball's thrown in. The 2 ruckmen, Gringo and Sean Fellows. No one really gets a clear tap. There's Gavin Field. Yeah, he pushes the ball over the boundary line with the help of his teammate Ian Walker. I think the Sharks, so they've been easily the most gifted and talented team this season, but they've just got to get rid of the skills today and just really play the hard, grunty type football, and just, even if it's like rugby, just to work the ball forward any way they can. The Tigers seem to have done that. They've used to grand finals. They've won the last 4 or 5, and I think they really need, the Sharks need to just settle down and just play the football they've played all year. And it looks like Kingy's gone in there. There's a bit of a stacks on the middle there, and Kingy's coming in to throw the ball up.
Again, it's Gringo and Fellows. The umpire looked like he was going to pay something there and let it go. And the Tigers really having difficulty getting out. Gringo gets the ball. That's a good pass on the left, and he's found Wack Walker out on the half-back flank. I think the inside 50s would be interesting at the moment, Bevan. It'd be about 10 to 1, I reckon, in favour of the Tigers. Here comes Hodgetts here and Jeremy White. Don't want it. They don't seem to really want it. They've got to tap the ball out and let the ball keep flowing. Barney Miller came in after retiring earlier this year. Kim Tarali kicks the ball long. The game's getting very willing. Oh, a big contest there. Could have been one to the free kick to the Sharks very easily, but again, they're working it forward. It looks like Elliot Rodgers to Jeremy White didn't want it. It's looking for the free kick. And it's not. It is going to go there. Well, he staged that one beautifully. Hollywood White. There's a bit of a how do you do down here on the near side boundary too. Between looks like Wack Walker and Troy Sheen having a bit of a go at each other. And Noddy Highland as well was in there. But back to the footy, and the Sharks have got the ball back in their back pocket. And again, it looks like Daryl Carey's got the ball. And they've got to try and clear the ball. They're just getting beaten. The sheer strength of the Tigers, I guess, is just telling at the moment.
Yeah, well, that there was probably a difficult mark in the wet, but they've got to be taking these conditions. That was a chest mark. Good grief, that looked like an illegal handball over the head to me, but it got away with Tigers. Things are going their way, there's no doubt about it. And both Harbour seem to be fumbling and they're not handling the wet conditions. So really, I think, Jim, that both Harbour are definitely not adapting as well as Brooklyn. But they've got a free kick there. So a little bit of a reprieve for the Boat Harbour side. There's number 3, which is Hayden Dennis, gets a free kick on the half-back line. Well, it's fairly willing out there. We saw that altercation out in front of the scoreboard a moment ago, involving Ian Walker and Highland and one or two others. Rod Hodgetts just shows the just the feeling in this game, and you know, these two teams are rivals from way back, and they've renewed the rivalry in the last couple of years, and they've played the last 2 grand finals this year and last year. As the ball is kicked to the wing, and White and Elliott getting sick of calling those 2 names, they're really getting a lot of the ball. There's Matty Cashman, a former Tigers player. He pushes the ball along the boundary line, and really they've got to get Walker, Field, Matty Cashman, Hodgetts, these sort of players into the game, Jim. Really at the moment they're in maintenance mode. They're just trying to keep Tigers out. So Tigers lead by 15 points at this stage, early in or halfway through the first quarter, as the ball somehow gets knocked to the half-forward flank or near the wing for Boat Harbour. The ball's still in a packed situation, but it's cleared by Kim Tarali, kicks the ball, and Graham Hobbs takes a mark. And Hobbs is really proving a crucial factor here as he plays on quickly to McLaren. That's a great pass, couldn't quite hold the mark. He knocks the ball on really effectively for Brooklyn as they get the ball. They kick it along, it looks like Eastley. Oh, it's knocked through, it might even be a goal, is it? Oh, I don't believe it. That's great football, wet weather football by the Tigers, and as you can see, they're really pumped for that one. You can understand they'd be really thrilled with that, because that was really a... Well, Jim, I just managed to usher the fat lady out the back door, and I think it's a bit early to start singing yet, as the ball's thrown up in the middle again, as the Boat Harbour guys try to clear the ball out, but look, the balls just seem to be, the momentum of the ball seem to be pushing Tigers way all the way. Again, Kim Tarali, that's clever tactics. Graham Hobbs on the receiving end of that. He handballs probably unwisely, as this brings Boat Harbour back into the play, and really the umpires say play on, and they have, and it looks like Tigers again forming that wall. This time it's Craig Short. Takes the ball, he plays on quickly, no one on the mark. That's a good kick in the conditions, and Brooklyn are playing far more effectively at this stage. But Boat Harbour, they get the ball this time, they find a teammate, and they've got to try and do this. They've got to look for each other and play team football. As they kick the ball long, they're not going in as hard as the Tigers are, it's just very obvious to me. But they get the ball through Wack Walker, kicks it long to Field. Barney Miller looks as though he's slightly held onto. Doomer, Gavin Field. He got away with the push in the back, but the ball's at the centre half forward position, and Boat Harbour need to somehow find a goal here. But really, Brooklyn clear the ball effectively, and it's out of bounds, right in front of the skilled engineering side.
Yeah, the old Sharkers must be ruining their luck. Last year they were the most skillful side, and come grand final day there were strong crosswinds, which they couldn't handle, and this year again, the most skillful side, and look at the weather today. They just can't seem to take a trick.
Depends what you mean by skillful, Jim. I think you need a lot of skill to play wet weather football too, so it's a different type of skill. So I think the team that plays wet weather football deserves the game today, and at this stage, Brooklyn certainly looked the better side. But Daryl Carey, a welcome addition to this side, he takes the ball on the true wing position. He kicks long, he certainly does. He kicks that ball, the ball's holding up, but that's a great mark. Great mark there by can't pick up the player. Guard him. It looks like guard him. The centre half forward. He doesn't waste any time. He kicks the ball long. It's noticeably holding up. It's punched clear by Tigers, and they effectively kick the ball off the ground. Again, a spilled mark as Gringo in there getting the ball on the ground. Knocking it clear is Boat Harbour, but Andrew McLaren clears the ball, and really that's all we've got time for. It's quarter time in the Christian Amateur Football League, Northwich Christian Amateur Football League Grand Final, and we see the score 3-3-21 to Brooklyn with a slight breeze behind them. They lead the Boat Harbour Sharks. No score. Jim, what's your thoughts on this quarter?
Well, I think the clear difference is the Tigers' ability to get the ball out of the centre, and Graham Hobbs is just dominating the centre half forward. He's certainly, I think he's had 2 opponents already, and he's just continuing to rack up possessions. He's taking marks in the wet, whereas the Sharks can't seem to be able to do that. And really, just the centre, the Sharks have just got to find something. They're low to the ground players like Gavin Field and Ian Walker have just got to find something in the centre and just work that ball forward any way they can.
I really think, Jim, that what they've got to do is just take up some of the tactics that the Tigers have done more of, and that is knock the ball on, kick the ball on a little bit more. Even in the middle, I think that there's probably wasted time, too many handballs. They need to move the ball on quickly, use a bit of aggression in the middle. Jeremy White's getting too much of the ball. Kim Terrali's getting a little bit of the ball. But I think one of the differences that you mentioned was that Graham Hobbs is acting like a ruck roving type centre-half forward, and compared to Boat Harbour, their player at centre-half forward, I can't think of his name, he's not as mobile in these conditions, and I think Brooklyn seem to have the better forward line set up in these conditions, and they're certainly getting the ball out of the middle, and it's giving their forwards plenty of opportunity. And so at this stage, let's hope that Boat Harbour can fight back here, because 3-3-21, so 21-point lead, 3-3 to nothing is a fairly substantial lead. I would venture to say in these conditions, probably 6-goal lead, Jim.
Oh, for sure. It remains to be seen the strength of this win. You won't know until half-time as to whether or not this is really a match-winning lead from the Tigers. So the Sharks have the win this quarter, and it'll be up to them now to try and nullify the Tigers' lead. We'll just take a break, and we'll be word from our sponsors, and we'll be back shortly.
Well, Jim, just listen to the coaches down there, the Boat Harbour. The boys, they got away from the break quicker than the Tigers, and Gavin Field was just really focusing on the fact that, hey, we need to get out there, didn't waste any time hanging around the huddle, get out there and get the ball moving quickly so that they can start to make an impact on that scoreboard, because really they're not getting the ball out of the middle. That's what he was saying. Yeah,
and Macca in the Tigers, he was rapid with his midfielders about how they were getting the ball out, and you just seen a great example there with Whitey. He just wanted more of the same, but he kept reminding them that 30 minutes does not win a game of footy, and he wants them to fight on for the next 3 quarters. Obviously, the ball now has gone into the Tigers' half-forward line. The ball hasn't been up that end of the ground much, and this could be a bit of an omen if the Tigers can work it in there that easily.
Yes, up by Ian King, throws the ball up, and the 2 combatants, the 2 ruckmen. Gringo, former Tigers player, didn't really get it. Trali gets the ball now. Graham Hobbs is in the van. He's there, he's off the ground. No, but he's beaten by Gardner, the captain for Boat Harbour. He beats into the ball, and Darryl Carey, the Boat Harbour boys look a little bit more desperate at this stage, as we see Jeremy White pushed in the ground. He's given a free kick. You've got to play in front of the daylight today, and that was probably there. And so Boat Harbour boys seem to be chasing the Brooklyn Tigers at the moment. As they play on quickly, Jeremy White passes to a teammate. Graham Hobbs punches the ball on into the forward line. Robert Oberarder in the forward line at the moment. It's really desperate stuff as out the back door, the Boat Harbour boys handball it, and then they kick along the boundary line. Probably sensible play, clearing it out on the defensive side and on the scoreboard side of the ground.
Melanie Benjamin there.
So young Melanie Benjamin about to throw the ball in. The ball's thrown in, it's cleared, it's punched clear by the Tiger player. Terrali slides onto the ball, but can't get it out. Or looked a little bit dicey, looked like throw, but they've let it go. In these conditions, umpires can't pick it up. As the Boat Harbour players, Dennis looks like tries to clear the ball, but again, probably over handballing the ball in these conditions. I just think they're probably over handballing, overdoing it. But they've plucked out a free kick. Might be to Dennis. Oh, very careless effort there. There could have been a free kick against Boat Harbour. As Dennis clears the ball, but kicks it straight to Fellows. Tony Coote it was. Straight to the big Fellows. Well, look, and he's the big left foot. He kicks it long, doesn't waste any time. Graham Hobbs fails to hold the chest mark, and he tackles the player, and the ball spills and over the boundary line.
I think it was a perfect example there of Tony Cute being a bit cute with his kick there, and I think kicking with the breeze, you just got to kick the ball long, none of this short passing. You really got to, it's a game of yards today, and the further you can kick the ball, the closer to your goals you can get, the harder it is for the other team to return the ball. So this short passing, I think, has really got to be out of the bag today. High tackle there, Adrian Hall, and he plays on quickly. Oh, there's really no one to kick to. That's a bit ordinary play, that. And again, they've coughed the ball up. The Tigers probably should have marked that. Looked like Paul Maguire put that one down. And again, the Tigers seem to have more players. Maybe Mickey Moldhouse will call a count, head count. Like, looks like there's been a holding free kick again. Looks like against the Sharks, and the Tigers are going to kick the ball forward once more. And we're just looking at who it might be. It looks like it might be Elliot Rogers out there. Tall fellow? No, it might be Sean Fellows.
Yeah, it looks like Sean Fellows again to me. No. I can't pick up who. It might have been Elliot Rogers. He kicks it out to the half-back flank, and I reckon the ball's going to be over that side of the ground a fair bit today, Jim. The ball, the wind is, and the players are actually pushing the ball over that way a fair bit today. Okay, so it looks like the ball's thrown in. That's not very well thrown in that situation, but there's another pack situation. Hodges tried to clear it. The Tigers again get the ball out of that pack situation. Elliot Rogers, number 7 for the Tigers. He's slung with the ball. Somehow gets rid of it. Cameron kicks the ball. Look like Cameron, but the Tigers are in there. But so's Brooklyn. So's Boat Harbour. Somehow the Tigers get over. That's great football, but the handball didn't hit the mark, and that might be a free kick. I think he may have acted for that. Experience might have told in that one, Jim. Umpire Ian King might have fallen for that one, but nevertheless, if you're playing in front, knocking the ball on, you're going to get the benefit in the day like today. So probably a little bit fortunate, Graham Hobbs, to get the ball. But it's a really tough shot, as my co-commentator says, and I agree. So he's going to really have to keep the ball nice and low to get the maximum chance, I think. He's not even going to try. He's going to kick it short, and that's cut off beautifully by Carey. Great interception, and he's got a free kick. And so I think Graham Hobbs will be disappointed with that effort. Daryl Carey, a welcome addition to this side, kicks the ball long. That's a great kick in the conditions. He's trying to push his side forward, but it's a free kick. Boat Harbour starting to play in front, Jim. I can just see them lifting a bit here. Gardner kicks the ball long. The ball's getting up there towards Plunkett for the Boat Harbour boys, an important player. And this looks like Barney Miller. He's being held, acting for the free kick. But Modra kicks the ball off the ground. Elliot Rogers. No, it's not Elliot Rogers. It's Andrew McLaren out near the ball at the moment. Paul Pumpkin kicks the ball long. His teammate punches. He could have kicked that. But Paul Plunkett there is trying to get the ball. Elliot Rogers can't get it. He punches it clear. And really, it's a really tough contest. You can see the game starting to really fire up. But umpire Dean Ledger has called the play back. The Tigers have got on their forward line, but the play's been called back, and the Tigers haven't heard yet. Still umpires haven't conferred. I don't think Ian King has heard the whistle further down the field. So the communication hasn't been set up yet. The umpires don't know what's going on between each other. Looks like it might be standing. Ian King has decided to allow the play to be taken to the centre half back position.
Whoa, look at
it. As the two umpires confer, I don't think Ian heard the whistle. His co-umpire Dean Ledger called up play earlier on the Boat Harbour half forward line. Yeah. So they're deciding on where the kick should be taken. So the kick will be taken. The ball was allowed to be played on at the half back line for Boat Harbour. And I've seen them lifted, Jim. I really believe that Boat Harbour's lifted a little bit. And I think it's important they at least match the Tigers in their intensity at this stage. They kick sideways. They look for Adrian Hall. He's a real sweeper back on that half-back line. Looks like Blair there, number 7 for the Sharks, but he fell to ground. Maguire for the Tigers. Kicked off the ground by Boat Harbour. The Tigers are definitely playing the better weather football at the moment. The ball's not clear. But the Boat Harbour players kicked straight to Fellows, and he handballs to Kim Turali. Kim Turali kicks the ball long. Hobbs in front, fails to take the mark. But his second effort was great, but the ball was locked up in there by Robert Oberata, and the ball wasn't able to get clear by the Boat Harbour player.
Yeah, the Tigers are definitely playing the better game. They're sort of playing in numbers. They're running in 2s and 3s, and they're outnumbering the Sharks every time the ball goes into a pack situation. And looks like someone's badly injured. There's a Tiger down. It looks like Paul Maguire is badly hurt over in the far side. It's a knee. It is definitely looks like a knee over there on the far side. If the play continues, the umpires haven't seen it. The play should probably stop. That's a knee injury over there, and I don't think the play should continue. I don't think the umpires have spotted that. Looks like Kingy's given a free kick, and it's going to the Tigers. It looks like Kim Terali, and Paul Maguire's trying to run this knee out. I think he's better off the ground, just quietly. Kim Terali kicks it forward, and looks like a holding against number 7. That's actually Paul Devine. He's not actually listed. There you go. Bit of a ring in there for the Tigers, and the Sharks kick the ball out. Old Modra misses it there, and that looks like Dallas. Trenton Dallas kicking the ball long. Hobbsy nearly took a beauty. Swings onto his left, and the ball looks like it's going to be given a free kick round the neck there, and it's going to Gavin Townsend for the Sharks to relieve them once more.
Gee, Jimbo, I can't really see where the Boat Harbour is going to get their first goal because they really need one, but at the moment they look so dangerous up forward, Brooklyn Tigers. And what's more, that when they're clearing the ball, they're kicking into danger. There's another example. They need to really not kick down the corridor or knock the ball down the corridor as much. I noticed that's 2 clearing kicks have gone almost down the middle of the ground, and I think that's a dangerous ploy on a day like today. They really need to play negatively out of the back line and just hope to push the ball along the boundary line, especially in defence. As the balls are thrown up at the true centre forward position, and there's a free kick plucked out of that, and it's a free kick to the Tigers. So they're really putting themselves in front. They're making the play, and we think it's Gibbs there that might be getting the free kick. And he's also another one getting up gingerly, so that's Paul Maguire and Gibbs both limping at the moment. Although Paul Maguire, he probably only got a minor knock to the lower leg, but he's going to take the kick, so he must have recovered. He kicks long and low, but it's not paid. But here they go again, a little bit risky in defence, the Boat Harbour side. They should be kicking the ball, overusing the ball, I believe. There's that Captain Gardner is on the. He's got that ball out. He could have been pinged for a free kick. Kim Terali, they're playing a great game at the moment. Handballs to Jeremy White. He kicks the ball sensibly. Kicks the ball long, but look, it's a mark. It's a great mark down there to Paul Devine. Paul Devine for Tigers, again playing in front. And you've got to do that in these conditions. So he's going to line up. It's not a gimme, this one. It's about 10, 12 metres out on a little bit of an angle, 45-degree angle. As he comes in, takes his time, and really had no trouble putting that through. And up by Adrian Butterworth gives the all clear. Well, the central gives the all clear, and Adrian Butterworth waves the 2 flags. And really, that's a really important goal for Brooklyn. They build to the biggest lead of the match. They've kicked their 4th goal, and it's 4-3-27. To Brooklyn Tigers, and they lead Boat Harbour Sharks, languishing yet to score. And so the favourite going into this game only lost, I believe, 1 game all year, Jim. That's correct. And so that's some sort of record. So let's just hope they can fight back, that they can pick up the form that we know they're capable of. And really, I just see that because there's conditions that are just really not adapting to them at the moment.
Yeah, really skill and form and whatever goes straight out the window for grand finals. Both teams here with equal opportunity. It's really just a matter of how much you want it. And the Tigers are playing like they want it like no tomorrow. And the Sharks, probably not been in here too often before, aren't really sure what to do. The Tigers go forward again. That's a clever mark there to Gavin Townsend. And he plays on very quickly. Again, they're playing this little short, cute-looking football, and it's not very effective. Coote kicks the ball out. Matty Cashman, the ex-Tiger, went to ground far too easily there, and the Tigers, in numbers, look like they're going to get the ball out once more. Oh, a bit of desperation there from the Sharks. They're starting to lift, and it was their coach underneath the pack there, and Gavin Field, that's really going to have to start leading by example, I feel.
The problem with the Sharks, Jim, is that if they start using aggressive tactics, Brooklyn are quite capable of matching them. So in these conditions, I don't see a lot of weaknesses for Brooklyn. As Barney Miller gets the ball on, he hasn't had many touches, and who's this Gardam? He's a key player. Can he get going? Number 23 kicks the ball. That's a sensible position. But really, look, they're playing in front, Brooklyn. As you've seen, that's a good tactic. He's knocked the ball on, and that's looks like Paul Maguire, number 11. He's knocked the ball on as well. But the Boat Harbour player could have got a free kick then, bumped out of position, and the Tigers sensibly knocked the ball along the boundary line. And Paul Maguire follows that play up. It's a numbers situation. He kicks it long, nearly to centre-half forward. And who's there? Graham Hobbs. He handballs the ball. Handballs the wrong way, but look, the backup's there. Jeremy White kicks the ball out wide to Paul Maguire. He's in the lead, but no, it's bundled over the boundary line. There's McDonald and Paul Maguire bump each other, and the ball goes over the boundary line. As we pause to take a breath here, we see the Sharks still lead by 27 points, and unusually, the Tigers, I should say, lead by 27. The Sharks wouldn't have been held to this position halfway through the second quarter at any stage this year. They're scoreless, and as the ball's knocked over the boundary line, all credit to Brooklyn. They're really playing the superior football, and I don't know what Gavin Field can do. You can see him walking around the middle at the moment, probably wondering what he can do as the ball's thrown in, and the Brooklyn players get the ball clear. Boat Harbour lifting the intensity but not really making impact on the scoreboard as the ball's knocked forward a little bit towards the Brooklyn Tigers full forward position, but the ball's over and out of bounds. And we see young Russell about to throw the ball in. Yes, Jim, over to you.
Well, I'm just saying that the game has almost been entirely played in the Tigers forward line, both first and second quarter, and the winds. So the wind really is having no effect on the way the game's been played. The Tigers are just dominating. And what a mark in the wet. I think that might be Devine again. And what an inspired move it has been putting this fella to full forward. 2 goals in these conditions in a couple of minutes, and the fat lady may be singing.
Yes, you can see the Boat Harbour boys. The Tigers probably saying a few things like, gee guys, it's nearly all over. They're probably rubbing it in. Look at the scoreboard, and the Sharks players, let's hope they don't get sucked in because there's still a long way to go. And look, they'll be disappointed as Paul Devine comes in, kicks the ball, and a beautiful kick off the boot. That's a great goal, and that's the 5th one on the board as Robert Oberata comes off the interchange bench to be interchanged with Scott Hyland. And so really that's a great goal, and that's the 5th on the board of the Tigers. And I would say at this stage of the game, really it's going to be very difficult for the Sharks to fight back, because we're getting up to, or probably 2/3 of the way through the second quarter, 5 or 10 minutes left in the second quarter, and it's 5-3-33 to Boat Harbour Sharks, to Brooklyn Tigers I should say, and the Boat Harbour Sharks yet to score. And so umpire Dean Leacher throws the ball up, play exclusively in the Tigers forward zone for almost the entire half, as Grace Shepherd in the middle there, as young Maguire again knocks the ball out to that player 25 for Brooklyn Tigers. I can't pick up his name, but out on the wing now, Boat Harbour clear the ball, kicks it long but short there. He should have taken the mark. He spills the mark. Barney Miller gets the ball, but he handballs again, over handballing I believe, Jim, but there's a free kick given, a holding free kick against the Brooklyn guy, and it's a Sharks player getting the free kick. Now let's hope they can make some inroads here into that forward line. They need to keep it open. Notice Jeremy White and a few of the Tiger players crowding that forward line as the ball's kicked short. Jeremy White, that player mentioned, gets the ball. No, he knocks it clear. Boat Harbour and Brooklyn, Elliot Rogers for the Brooklyn side, he handballs it to Matty Beattie. He can't handle it cleanly. There's a guard for the Sharks. He kicks it clear, but who's waiting in behind us? Brooklyn. They're mopping up down there as they handball it effectively, but he kicks it in the corridor dangerously, and Dallas takes the mark. Yes, they're just playing good football in that back line too, Jim.
Yeah, I was just looking at the Sharks forward line there, and they're all very much in the politest way very much on the wrong side of 30. They need to be a bit of youth and speed on the forward line. They're all the older, taller, more experienced marking players, and the ball hit the ground there. There's just no one there to get the ball. No one there feeding off the packs. And we've got Gavin Field kicking it long now, and no one even contesting that mark. Paul Plunkett sitting there behind the pack hoping the player was going to drop it, and the Tigers have been around too long to drop marks like that. David Eastley, inspired run from defence. He gets it back again from Maguire, and he kicks an absolute monster down the wing. And it looks like Glenn Gardner really is about the only Shark standing up, accounting for himself. And, well, that's what captains have got to do in this sort of situation.
Well, that was a great mark to Tigers. Look, they're holding everything. Highland for Tigers. I'm just really impressed with the way they're holding their marks in these conditions, Jim. And as you said, Paul Plunkett, just typical of the way that they're playing, not blaming Paul in particular, but he sat back there waiting for that, for the Tigers player to drop the mark, and he didn't drop it. And that's indicative of the way they're playing. As the ball's cleared by the Tigers out in the wing, Paul Maguire kicks the ball. He's had plenty of the football. And Andrew McLaren, the first goal of the match, he takes the ball. The captain and coach of the Brooklyn Tigers plays on quickly, doesn't waste any time, kicks it long to an open forward line. Fairly open as the Boat Harbour player could have got a free kick there. No, it wasn't a free kick as they crunched each other, Boat Harbour, but there is a free kick given by Ian King. And one of the players for Boat Harbour is holding himself. Saw chest region, but look, they're dodging and weaving as Captain Gardner kicks the ball long to the centre position. The Tigers again asserting themselves on the ball there, getting in front position as they get the ball underneath the pack. The players tackled as Boat Harbour clear the ball only about 10 or 15 metres. Ian Walker couldn't get into the play there. He was sitting behind the play as the Sharks players running into trouble, and the Tigers are smothering everything. Gardner, no, it's not Gardner. Number 3 for Brooklyn, for Boat Harbour is tackled. Hayden Dennis was tackled as McLaren and his teammate knocked the ball out of bounds. And really, I can't see an opening, Jim, at this.
No, well, the Sharks have actually, obviously listening to this commentary, they've just taken off Barney Miller and put on the younger, faster James Andrews on the forward line. So we're just hoping now that a little bit of speed on the forward line, if the ball drops onto the ground, that young Andrews can sort of pick it up and really give them a spark that they desperately need. There's nothing much happening out of this ruck contest. The Tigers, again, are at the bottom of the pack. But the Sharks starting to play a bit of desperate football. They really need a goal. And I'm not sure what the King's done this time. He's pinged one from behind the play, and the Sharks are going to get another relieving free kick. It looks like it was going against Graham Hobbs. He's not really sure what it was about. And there's just a bit of hold-up in play as the ball is some 150 metres further down the ground. Adrian Hall's free. Adrian Hall's free.
Okay, the free kick with Adrian Hall. One of the premier players in the league this year. He's been an excellent player for the Sharks, and he's really holding them together. He and Glenn Gardner in that back half, they've really been playing sensible football. That's better play. I think they need to do that, but that's not a very good kick. But it did work. It's got out to Hodgetts out, and I think they need to play wide out of defence as Hodgetts kicks the ball off the ground twice. He's doubled his possessions for the day almost. But Elliot Rogers, he gets the ball. Number 7 for Brooklyn. Kicks long. Modra and Morton there for the Tigers as Boat Harbour clear the ball. Adrian Hall. His short passes there to his teammate, and that teammate is Dennis, a good player this year for the Sharks. He looks up, gives himself not a lot of room on the mark as he kicks the ball long. Sharks have got to make something out of this attack. Number 7, that's good play by Sharks. That's better football. As the big fella tries to kick the ball off the ground. Cowan's down there for the Tigers. He kicks the ball off the ground. Sensible play, over and out of bounds near the Coastal FM sign over on the other side of the ground. 106.1 Coastal FM, that's football.
And I'm sure the Doc's listening to us as well. But the Tigers have just continued to do the one percenters. There was no mucking around from Cowans there. He didn't try and bend down and pick the ball up in the wet. Just sink the boot straight onto it and straight out of bounds. It's the only way to play in these conditions. And again, the Tigers seem to be winning out of the ruck. Another tap out from Fellows, but the ball runs back out of bounds. Another 15 or 20 metres away from the Sharks' goals. Still 2 or 3 kicks from there to the Sharks' goal. And young Melanie Benjamin will throw the ball back in. Near the scoreboard, which shows the Tigers 5-3-33 to the Sharks yet to score. Kate Gardham's gone into the ruck now to try and inspire the Sharks, but not much is happening. And again, looks like another stack on the mill. There's just nothing happening for the Sharks, Bevan. Nothing at all.
Yes, I really think that they've just been off balance since the start of the game. Tigers have had more intensity, and they just haven't been able to match the intensity, I don't think, and the skills required in with the football, the knock-ons, the kick-ons. The Sharks have really got to come to terms at half-time. They need the siren to go pretty soon and hope there's no more damage on the scoreboard as far as they're concerned, because really they need to change their tactics. They need to probably change the centre situation, maybe bring Adrian Hall or Gardner into the middle. They need to do something, but at this stage the ball is just in a scrambly situation out on the eastern side wing. As the ball's thrown in, it's knocked over and out of bounds. As young Russell looks like over there about to throw the ball in, right in front of the Saberbuck sign as the ball's about to be thrown in. Jim, it's almost... it's Tim Russell about to throw in. It's almost exclusively been on that side of the ground, on the eastern side. So I wonder if Sharks could get out this side where they'd have a better chance. Yeah, well, the wind is just blowing virtually straight across the ground towards the scoreboard, and that's obviously why the play's mostly there. But the Tigers can play like this all day. They can bunch it up. They can run in 3s and 4s all day, and they don't care how pretty the football is. They want the premiership, and they're doing everything they can to keep it. The Sharks are the ones that need the play to open right up, and maybe they need to start taking a bit of risks to bring the ball to this side and get some of the running players out in the open. When you look at the style the Sharks play this year, they've played wide open football where they've run the game and often pushed wide and set up play that way. But on a day like today, they need to change their tactics. They need to get more players around the football because the ball will be in packs today, and I don't think they're really doing that. Whereas the Tigers have really, that's been their style a little bit this year. They've played more pack football, so maybe it really suits their style. Oh, that's for sure. I mean, the Tigers, Jeremy White, I think he might be the vice captain there. He was on the radio this morning, and he was just saying that the Tigers have really, with their situation with the police, they get one policeman available one week, 8 the next. They're not really
able to get to practice fluent football, and they've just really basically played that pack style of football with the extra players they need every week. It's maybe the less skilled ones they bring in. They've been working on pack football, and today it's just working wonders for them. The weather's just couldn't be better for them. And the Sharks have just put themselves into some sort of record books here. This is the first time in a grand final that there's been a team not score up to half time. Well, maybe the Sharks are using a different strategy here. They're trying to ruffle a few tiger furs, maybe, Bevan.
Yeah, that's disappointing, but really, I guess that might be one tactic the Sharks, as you said, they might just try and rough the Tigers up and get their mind off the job. But look, who knows who started that? It could have been the Tigers. I know Ian Walker wasn't happy. He was he looked fairly livid out there at that stage about a minute ago. But I noticed Graham Hobbs pushing the Bad Harbour player away. So look, I don't think the Sharks can win the fight either. They need to start the fight out there, because I think Brooklyn would probably hold ascendancy there as well, Jim. Yeah. But really, let's hope the Tigers and the Sharks come out playing football, because we really like to see the Sharks in particular really start to play the football that they're capable of playing. But look, I just want to pick up a point you mentioned earlier. We mentioned 106.1 Coastal FM. Well, Jeremy White, the joint league best and fairest winner for this year, he came on this morning, and we were a little bit critical, Jim and I, of the point he made was that he felt the Sharks can be a little bit soft, and I was also a bit critical of that. And really, I've seen nothing today which really would probably disprove Jeremy's comment, because really the Tigers have really played the tougher football, and I'm wondering whether the Sharks listened to what Jeremy said and maybe did take it to heart.
Yeah, well, obviously Jeremy had a bit of a plan there this morning when he said it, but they've certainly come out with a set team plan to make sure that the Sharks have got to play this tight, pack-type football, and really they must have realised something during the week, that the Sharks were a bit soft in packs, and they're taking it to their fullest extent. So the Tigers here at half-time, it's 5 goals, 3-33 to the Sharks, yet to score. Welcome back to the second half of the Christian League. There's been no addition to the score, and the Sharks have just gone forward, and Paul Plunkett has taken a mark 10 metres out directly in front, and the Sharks are going to be kicking their first goal here. The veteran Paul Plunkett, 10 metres out at the slight angle, and a
couple of minutes into the quarter.
Yes, we're 2 or 3 minutes into the quarter now, and there's been a very, very strong showing of physical strength from both sides as this second half is open. The Sharks are desperate to show something here, and an old stalwart of the Tigers, Mark Harris, comes on as Paul Plunkett kicks the first goal for the Sharks. No, he's missed. Oh, can you believe it? 10 metres out. Percy Jones would be proud of that kick.
Well, it just sums up the Sharks' day so far. He really needed that kick, and Paul, an experienced player like he is, he really needed to kick that goal. Unfortunately, obviously his footing wasn't right, Jim, so an unfortunate miss there, and the Tigers, they'd be smiling through their back teeth as they clear the ball from fullback. That's Cowan, so a long kick, but it's marked by Daryl Carey, and maybe they're going to play Daryl Carey at centre forward. Maybe that's their best chance. Carey kicks long, a good kick. Paul Plunkett can't get the ball. The Tigers knock the ball clear. Smith kicks the ball, but it's out of bounds. Slews off the side of his boot. And really, I think the Sharks just need to bomb it into their forward line as quickly as possible, Jim.
Well, it's been a certain turnaround here this quarter. The game is exclusively this quarter been played in the Sharks forward line, which is a complete turnaround from the first half. As it looks like Gardner now. Oh, he caught very high. That was untidy. That looked like Gibbs there. So Gardner now will bomb this one back in about 10 metres out from goal and hope that Gardner or Carey or someone can take a good grab. He doesn't need to be wasting this much time. And no, you can't do that, Mr. Walker. And it's got to be 5 metres the handball's got to be these days. You can't just run past and grab it out of your teammate's hand. Ben Gardner now, he's about 45 out. He won't make the distance. It's a beautiful spot there just in front of the square. Anything could happen here. The Sharks have just got to get down at the ball and pick it up. They're just too busy playing for free kicks at the moment. And the Tigers are doing a great job. And they've bottled it up once more for another ball up. Bevan, I think they need a goal in this foray forward.
Yes, Jim, that's right. As Dean Ledger throws the ball up, it's very, very crowded. It's going to be difficult to pluck a goal out of there in the rain. Just makes that lead like a 10-goal lead, not a 5-goal lead. But Matty Cashman there, one of his few touches. He wouldn't enjoy these conditions. But look, they're shepherding. Like you see, Shepherd there played on for teammate of Bad Harbour. But that's Rod Hodgetts gets a free kick. I thought that was there. He tackled him without the football. scragged the player to the ground.
Had about 6 free kicks at the start of this quarter, the Sharks, and they need to transfer that onto the scoreboard.
For Rod Hodgetts, number 21.
45 out again.
It's important. He's not going to kick from here. He needs to put the top of the square, which he does, hoping the player can take a mark, but it's Tigers in front. They've been there all day. Hayden Dennis, or Townsend I should say, gets the ball. But who's there? The Tigers are there once again. Devine. Oh, lucky. Get away with that. He missed the handball.
Smith was in there for the Sharks.
Smith to the Sharks at the bottom of the pack. But look, I think they've really lifted their intensity, the Sharks, and you can just see on their faces that they really want to make a big effort this quarter. And they'll need to, what's more. Who's this? Number 3 for Sharks.
Dennis, Hayden Dennis.
Dennis, there's Adrian Hall, number 9, gets the ball, kicks it long, but who's there? Elliot Rogers. Roaming back there in the full-back line.
Straight over the defence.
Kicks long. Punts the ball on. Andrew McLaren's there, waiting at the back of the pack. Kicks the ball off the ground.
Great shepherding there from Hobbs. Great shepherding.
This field there, number 17. He's tackled well. As his opposition number, the coach for the Tigers, he tries to get the ball out, but no, it's
McDonald there.
There's the field again. McDonald gets the ball, number 10, on near the scoreboard. Kicks it long for Sharks. Cleverly keeps the ball in play. No mark there, the Tigers, as Bud Harbour kicks it off the ground. Jeremy White slips over. Matty Cashman, number 11 for the Tigers, for the Sharks, former Tiger player, kicks the ball long, but a great, fantastic mark in these conditions. Paul Devine, who's really come into his own in this match. Since quarter time, he's really been a feature player, Jim.
Yeah, well, it's really been the experience of Devine and Hobbs that have set this game up. They've given a target all the time to kick to, whereas the Sharks going forward really haven't had the target. Really haven't had the target. And that's, speak of the devil, there's a mark there to Hobbs. It's got, it hasn't been paid, and he's been pinged for holding the ball. Well, that's a very strange one. Obviously ruled that he tried to break through some tackles there, and he is not a happy camper, young Hobbs. And it looks like Mark Pearce, the old stalwart from the Boat Harbour Blues days, kicks the ball forward. It looks like Troy Sheehan there for the Tigers kicks it out towards the scoreboard and goes out of bounds. And over there we'll have Melanie Benjamin will be throwing the ball back in. The scores there while we're over there: 5-3 to the Tigers, 33, and the Sharks have opened their account this quarter with 1 point from Paul Plunkett. So umpire Benjamin throws the ball in, and again it's Fellows and Gardam, and the Sharks actually shark that tap in there, but they're not really getting any system in their game, and really the Tigers don't care if they don't score again if the game just stays over in that far side in the puddles.
Yes, even with that wind advantage the Tigers have, look, they don't really need to score too much, because really as long as the Sharks don't score, Jim, I think if they can keep Sharks next to no score this quarter, I think the game's all over at three-quarter time. In these conditions, very difficult to see a team kick 5 goals in 1 quarter of football. As Jeremy White gets the ball out from a pack situation, kicks the ball at the top of the square. Graham Hobbs, a slight push out, couldn't hold the mark though. He was in best position as the ball scrambled towards Graham Hobbs. The ball's following him today. Paul Devine, pressure there by Cashman. The ball's still knocked in. Clever play by McLaren. And Tigers are still have a chance. Player tackled, no free kick. As Boat Harbour, the ball's let the players allowed to play on. As Hodges clears the ball. And 3 Tigers converge. 1 player for Sharks, Andrews. Jeremy White's out there, the ball's not clear. White kicks the ball along the wing. Matthew Beattie tried to take the mark and couldn't hold it, as the ball will be thrown in by young Maxwell there, the boundary umpire. Anita Maxwell, as Anita throws the ball in. No one there. The ruck, I thought Kim Trailers would take the ruck tap, but he didn't actually take it. Tiger player tackled, not in possession, but play on. Adrian Hall gets the ball somehow to Matty Cashman along the wing. Big Doomer at full forward. He's a bit slow in these conditions. This time Paul Plunkett. Can he make up for his indiscretion before? He kicks the ball. Good effort in these conditions. The Tigers out number 3-1. And Craig Short cleverly just kicks the ball on the boundary line. He didn't have to do anything fancy there, as we see Sean Fellows and Gardam run towards the forward pocket area to contest this throw-in. Well, Sharks need to score a goal here desperately, Jim. But no, the Tigers clear the ball away. They really look the better side at this stage. It's just a little bit too easy for the Tigers to clear the ball. As Sheehan knocks the ball cleverly along the boundary line. will the umpire pinging for a purposely thrown out of ball out of tackle?
Oh, I think that sort of rule goes out the door in this sort of weather, Evan. The one percenters, the defenders, no nonsense stuff, straight out of bounds. And I think that's fine. That they shouldn't be pinged for that today. For the Sharks, the time is going away. They need 1 or 2 at least by three-quarter time, and it's just not happening. And again, the Tigers win the tap again. McLaren, the coach, he's going to be happy, man, if things stay this way. He'll be hoisting that cup. And Hobbs again presents himself continuously. Dallas nearly grabs Gavin Field. Gavin Field gets the kick, and it goes to Adrian Hall, who's lifted this quarter. Again, he kicks it forward. He's finding Wack Walker there. Oh, he got dealt with, but it's play on. I'm not sure the Tigers really went for the ball on that occasion. And the ball slips out the back of the pack, and it looks like James Andrews is on top of it with Greg Short, and there's going to be another ball up.
The Tigers just like seagulls around a packet of chips today, Jim. They're just converging on everything. They're just really desperate. The desperation's written over their faces, and even when there was a half a chance, Boat Harbour there, it just looked too good there. As the player Smith for Boat Harbour kicks the ball forward, and really the Boat Harbour boys have lifted. I think Gavin Field, Adrian Hall in particular, Darryl Carey started the term quite fluently, playing well. As Andrew McLaren, the captain coach of the Tigers, comes off a spell, and Robert Oberarder comes on. We see the ball still caught in the pocket area for the Sharks, and they're not going to kick goals from there. As Mark Harris knocks the ball over the boundary line, and we see young Nathan Russell about to throw the ball in. Fellows gets a half clearance there. Handballed away by the Tigers, but Carey's got the best chance of the quarter so far for the Sharks, but the ball drops short. In these conditions, difficult to score goals as the Tigers clear it down the corridor a little bit dangerously, but that's a great mark in these conditions by Matthew Beattie. Not normally a good mark in wet weather, but that was a great mark. As he kicks the ball, but straight to his opposition player, could have been a free kick. We believe it should have been a free kick, not paid. So the Sharks not helped by some decisions here. As Graham Hobbs somehow gets the ball clear. And Dallas kicks the ball down long to Paul Devine. And McDonald there for Sharks. Devine's in front. McDonald desperately trying to stop him getting the ball. And with their coach Gavin Field coming in behind, he must be desperately disappointed at this stage that the Sharks...
Okay, and welcome back again after that commercial break. And the scores haven't changed, as you wouldn't think they would in this sort of weather, but the Tigers are on the foot going forward again, and the Sharks just cannot seem to get the ball out of the Tigers forward line. It's been there now for the last couple of minutes, and the Tigers really are the most likely team to score another goal, which is not what the Sharks want to hear.
Yes, that's right. There's been no goals scored this quarter, and I think the Tigers coach Andrew McLaren, who took a breather a minute ago, he'd be pumped at this stage. He knows that really they've got the big advantage at this stage, and he'd be really pleased at this stage that the game has just boiled down to being just a slog between centre-half back and centre-half forward for both teams. So, but the Tigers, that's first time in their forward line, full forward line, but it's kicked back quickly by Gavin Field, who's played exclusively in the back line today, Jim, and I really believe he needs to go up forward. I think they need a goal kicker. I think they need to put Adrian Hall back down there and himself up forward, because I think he's the most logical guy, he and Walker, to be able to kick a couple of goals quickly for the Sharks.
Yes, it's when you put the best players in defence, you're trying to save games, and there's no point saving a game when you're 5 goals down. So they really need to put their trumps up in the forward line or in the centre to try and get something happening. But just want to make a comment of Elliot Rogers' game today. He's been a kick behind the play all day, and every time the Sharks clear the ball, he seems to be there. And there is a bit of thunder down under behind us, so we could be in for an absolute squall here in the next 5 or 6 minutes. And the Sharks again now kicking it off the ground, trying to bring it forward. Again, there's a Tiger there, looked like Noddy Highland, and he tried to give it away there to Hobbsy, but Hobbsy couldn't hold the ball in the difficult conditions. And this is Darryl Carey in the centre of the ground. A handball instead of a kick, and it missed the target. And there goes Hobbsy again. Matt Booty's got about 5 yards on his opponents here. He'll have time to pick it up, and a little chip kick to, looks like Dallas. He had no hope at all to get rid of that one in time, but his second effort was terrific from the big fella. And it keeps working it forward. The ball's in the goal square. Kim Tarali off the ground. Oh! Have yourself a complimentary beverage, Mr. Tarali. And the fat lady is beginning to sing. It's all over.
Yes, Jim, I think we leave the fat lady in the press box at the moment. She's starting to warm the tonsils up. So Jim's containing himself here at the moment. He can't stop. The fat lady's just almost out of control. Settle down over there. As Ian King is about to throw the ball up again in the middle, and that was just a great goal, Jim. That was very clever. That ball was moving and bouncing around the goal square, and somehow he got the left foot to it. So as Ian King throws the ball up, the ball gyrating in the middle as, who's that, Adrian Hall. Yes, probably that's a good move. Paul Plunkett. They're desperate times here for the Sharks. Here's their first chance for a goal as Paul Plunkett kicks. Oh, just typical of their day so far. That's their second score, and it's only behind, unfortunately. So Paul Plunkett has been their only scorer for the day. He's kicked 2 behinds, and that's their total score. And so the Brooklyn Tigers 6-3-39 with that great goal by Trali a minute or so ago. And the reply by Sharks, only behind. They're 2 behinds. As the ball's kicked long, Adrian Hall. That ball's gone to the wing. Unbelievable in these conditions. That's great kicking from fullback. And so the Sharks can't stop the Tigers getting the ball up to the full centre half forward. And it's on the far half forward flank. It looks like a free kick. So right in front of the scoreboard, about 10 metres towards the Tigers' goal, is Gavin Field, who I believe ought to be on the forward line, sitting on the half-back flank, trying to hold out the Tigers. And here comes former coach and captain Brian Cameron, number 30, comes onto the field to replace Craig Short. Old father time, Brian Cameron. Gee, he must be nearly older than you and I, Jim, I think.
Well, he's certainly older than me. I'm not sure about you there, Bevan, but anyway, the play continues, and Elliot Rogers again. I think he's been given a very charitable mark there. I can't believe that's been paid. I think the umpire assumed he's going to catch it, and it went straight through his fingers. So it plays on now, and he's looking again, I reckon, for Hobbsy in the middle there, and it didn't quite carry to him. Townsend picks up the ball for the Sharks, kicks it forward, and again, that looks like Elliot Rogers. 1 kick behind the play. He could be a bit of a sleeper for the old Mel Metcalf medal here today. He has done nothing wrong.
I think Jeremy Wright's been great too today.
Yes, and Graham Hobbs, I think, really been the key in the forward line. The difference in the two sides has been one team's had a forward and the other team hasn't.
Yeah, so I think it's been 3 or 4 standout players for the Tigers. Rogers, as you said, Jeremy White, Paul Devine at various times, Graham Hobbs. But that passage of play just saw real no further impact on the game, except we just see now that Mark Harris has been awarded a free kick by Dean Ledger. 95 metres out. And so he's a long way out. I couldn't see him kicking this in a fit. There's no way he could make the distance, I wouldn't think. But it's a good effort.
Trying to bump it.
Oh, he really needed a really nice bounce, but I don't think he could have scored anyway.
Welcome back to the Christian League. It's the 4th quarter, and we've just had a ruck infringement and a 50-metre penalty, and it's now, I think it's Anthony Smith for the Sharks. Lining up now for their first goal, and they're hoping the first of many this quarter. And he's put it through, so the Sharks are on the board at long last. They're in the 3rd minute of the 4th quarter, and they've put through their first goal. And they move 1 goal to 8 points to 6-4-34. Well, the scoreboard's showing 6-3-34, so there's a bit of a muck up there. So 6-3-39 it must be, and the Sharks are 1-2-8. So 31 points, that's 5 goals. Still too much, I think. And the Tigers now don't want to do anything silly. They want to just play the football they played the last 3 quarters, and they'll be walking home premiers.
Okay, the ball's thrown up in the middle now by Dean Ledger, and the ball's the Sharks try to get a run on here. They're desperately trying to make some inroads. There's Brian Cameron, still very clean. He's only been on for a couple of minutes. Kicks the ball. It's a free kick downfield though, and that's crucial. Can't afford those sort of free kicks in the situation they're in. And who's the recipient? Looks like Kim Turali, playing for a 50-metre penalty. He's not going to get it though. He plays short. Looks like Highland, is it? Kicks the ball long down the full forward line. Devine gets bumped out. Could have been a free kick, but not given. Dean Ledger didn't pay that free kick. So a little bit fortunate for the Sharks. So 1 behind. That takes Brooklyn Tigers to 6-4-40. They lead Sharks 1 goal, 8 points. As Gavin Field kicks out. But who's in there? Waiting behind the pack is Eastley. Free. That's a free because he threw the ball, Eastley. Graham Hobbs didn't argue with that one.
No, easily, don't you?
Yeah, he didn't argue. No, neither player argued with that. As the ball's kicked short and marked by Dennis for the Boat Harbour Sharks.
I think it's just a fine example of what's gone wrong with the Sharks today. Gavin Field was playing in the goal square, it was just at the wrong end. He should be in the forward square, and he's worrying about kicking out from the fullback. Anthony Smith there, he kicked the goal, desperately trying to get it out. Kim Turali, he's been in and under all day, and we don't know Kim Turali doing anything different, do we, Bevan? He's done that for at least 5 years in the league. He's been consistently in and under the packs. A dual best and fairest winner in the league. And Tim Russell now right in front of us, throwing the ball back in. David Eastley in the ruck there against Cade Gardam, and Gardam reaching over the top wins it, and it comes out to the Sharks' way, and looks like Paul Devine has just slid that one over the boundary. And Melanie Benjamin going to throw this one in. So the Tigers, they're really quite happy, just keep tapping the ball out and tapping the ball out, because they've got the score on the board, and it's up to the Sharks to find another 5.5, 6 goals in the next 20 minutes. The ball comes out, Hobbs here behind the pack there, trying very hard. He's tucked it under, he could be in strife. And it looks like another ball up. They can't do much when there's about 5 or 6 players diving in for the ball. And umpire King comes in, he wants the players to clear out a little bit. And another rock contest is on. David Eastley again up against Cade Gardam. Cade Gardam, a huge leap down to what's it looks like Glenn Gardner down there. And again, it's going nowhere. Kim Turali again at the bottom of the pack.
Yeah, it looks like a mud wrestling joust out there today, Jim. At the moment, as Ian King, I should say, throws the ball up. Gardam in against Eastley. They dive in on the ball, but looks like another ball up. So Ian King probably sick of throwing the ball up today. So the umpires have featured prominently today. They've had a fair bit of the football. As Ian King about to throw it up. Mark Pearce runs around the outside. Maybe he's going to contest this. No, looks like Eastley and Gardam. Gardam gets the high leap. But still, there's no clearance of the ball. This ball is caught in the pack. Kim Turali tried to get rid of it. Gardner, the captain, tried to throw the ball clear. But Matthew Beattie takes the ball out of bounds. He's quite happy to leave it out of bounds, I think.
The Tigers can do this sort of stuff all day. They're out of bounds, ball ups. They can just keep doing this the rest of the game. And the premiership's theirs. Nothing silly from the Tigers.
Yes, the Sharks really need to try and change the pattern here. They're just not going to get anywhere by just leaving the ball. They need to somehow create an opening with a shepherd or two. They just need to try something different. I'm surprised that, a little bit surprised that Gavin Field hasn't changed tactics somewhat. But it's easy to be critical up here. But at the same time, Brooklyn have played really good football. We really can't criticise their effort in the conditions today, Jim.
Yeah, well, you can see the Sharks now getting very desperate. They're yelling at each other to get the ball out of the situation. The Tigers are just making sure it stays in the pack. They're not doing anything silly. And Gardam lifts to the occasion, and their ball is worked forward. Matty Cashman diving in, and it looks like Elliot Rogers again sweeping another kick behind the plate. High kick, Gardam there, nearly ate it, hit him in the mouth, the ball, and again, Paul Maguire. But I don't know, the Sharks just seem to be wanting to bounce the ball, to handball. They're trying and dodge players. They should be just getting it on the ground, onto the boot and kicking it forward, just like Graham Hobbs there. Jeremy White nearly got through, and it goes back to Gavin Field. He's dropped it. Dallas off the ground! Oh, what a beauty, a World Cup special there. There's the goal of the day, and that's the sealer. Go way back for the Sharks now. And the Tigers know it. That was the one they needed.
Yes, that goal would have really hurt, because that was a great effort by their coach Gavin Field and Tristan Dallas. They just converged on the captain of Boat Harbour, and the ball sprung clear, and who was backing up? Running in numbers, Tigers as usual. Tristan Dallas put the goal through off the ground. That's all you got to do on a day like today, soccer tactics. And it was a great kick, Jim, like a place kick, just kicked the ball off the ground and went straight through the high diddle, and a very easy decision. And it looks like Mike Bennister, number 22, gets his first run in the grand final. Maybe Mike can kick their second goal, who knows? They've only had one goal kicker today. In fact, 2 scorers. Paul Plunker's kicked 2 behinds, and Smith's kicked the only goal for Boat Harbour. Yes, Gardam probably a little bit late, moving him in the middle. Maybe that could have been done earlier, but it's easier to say from here. Free kick called by Dean Ledger, and it looks like a kick to Cameron, is it? Troy Sheehan.
Cameron's looking for the handball, he wants to stack. No, it's gone to Elliot Rogers.
Oh, he's allowed to go on. As Elliot Rogers kicks the ball long, almost another mark to Tigers. Adrian Hall kicks off the ground. Another player, Townsend kicked the ball, but it's marked by Normie Cowans round about the wing position. Number 25 kicks the ball long. Good distance with that wet ball. Again spilled by the McDonald for the Sharks. They've dropped the ball today and the ball spills over the boundary line. And the Tigers will be very happy to see the ball over there. Sharks, really, I don't know what they can do here, Jim. The time's about run out.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Tigers are just thinking there, now this will be 5 in a row. And 7 in the 90s. 7 premierships in 10 years. It's an extraordinary effort there for Tigers. And the ball comes out the back there. Jeremy White nearly, well, he really had it spent before he had it. And the Sharks clear. Again, it's Norman Cowans, or Mark Cowans, kicking the ball forward. And Hobbsy Lee takes a beauty, sliding in the ground. Second effort from the Tigers all day has been terrific. But Townsend now, handball out. And the Sharks clear again. And this is Hodgetts, Rod Hodgetts here. Again, another simple mark. Well, they're not all simple today, I suppose, but a mark that he probably should have taken. And it looks like Mick Beniston might be getting a kick. Yes, it is. Mick Beniston takes a free kick in the back flank here, but it's all too late now for the Sharks.
He's already covered in mud, Jim. He's been on for a minute and he's almost coated. That's a bad handball. But anyway, gets away with it. Adrian Hall worked out okay. Adrian kicks it long. Or could have been a free kick to Elliot Rogers there for the Tigers. Helicopter. Doesn't matter how the ball goes today, whether it be a helicopter punt or what it is, Jim, as long as the ball gets moved on. Another pack converges and umpire Dean Leeds has got no alternative but to throw the ball up.
I'd like to thank the unsung heroes of the back line for the Tigers. Troy Sheen has had a great game. Gibbs is another one that deserves a mention, and here he goes again. And, you know, it's just these younger, unknown players. That was Nathan Midd up there. They got that kick out. And those players that you've probably heard all the Whites and the Hobbsies and the Taralis all day, but it's those defenders that have stopped the Sharks. And it looks like Harry there. Mark Harris kicking the ball forward. And again, the Tigers are just running in numbers. But a holding free kick has gone against Graham Hobson. It's gone to Gavin Field for the coach of the Sharks.
Yes, we're about halfway through the last quarter now, at least halfway, and really the Sharks have only made inroads with 1 goal, so there's 32 points down on the 38 points down on the Tigers at the moment. Elliot Rogers out on the outer wing at the moment. Oh, one-hand handball by look at that. Brian Cameron tried to punch the ball. Kim Turali's got the ball. Handball's over. Looks like Sheehan again, yes, as they slide. The ball slides out there and the players slide around with it. Big Sheehan, it looks like, not Sheehan, they've lost the player now. Eastley, I should say, number 19, David Eastley, gets the ball to boot. Well played. And Adrian Hall, one of the better players in that back line for the Tigers today. Gets it out to Gavin Field. He's had a lot of work to do out there, and he kicks it straight out of bounds on the full. So maybe the Sharks would have been better advised to maybe use Gavin Field out on that forward line. But then again, there's ball's been probably 75% of the time in the Tigers' forward line. Probably even 80%. As the ball smothered from Jeremy White from the kick-in. Jeremy kicked that straight into the Boat Harbour play and straight out of bounds, right in front of the Stubbs Hardware Mitre 10 sign.
Rain's coming again.
Yes, and the rains, would you believe, is even heavier at this stage. We've had, I reckon, probably an inch or two already today. And it's just unfortunate for the footy spectacle today that has had so much rain. But nevertheless, the better side today has been the team that's played the best wet weather football, and that's been Brooklyn. And they kicked the ball long to the forward line. Boat Harbour kick it long, and Boat Harbour player Paul Plunkett takes a mark, kicks the Hodgetts on his own. He didn't really attack the football, I felt. This time, Barney Miller, one of his few touches, kicks the ball, and it might be, no, it's hit the post. Well, that was a half chance there. They put themselves under pressure a little bit. And that's a point to the Boat Harbour boys. Hit the post. There's Normie Cowans ready to kick the ball in. He kicks long. That's a good drop punt in these conditions. Kicks it long. Ball clears, spills over the back where you'd expect to do as Jeremy White knocks the ball out. That's the sort of indicative of their play today, knocking the ball on. It's worth a kick, huh? 2 knocks are worth a kick today as the ball's knocked over the boundary line. As the conveyance of the pigskin comes in again into the Saverbuck sign. Looks like Emma, what's her name? Young Melanie kicks a handball, kicks it out there. Oh, it's tackled well by Boat Harbour. Boat Harbour player tackled well by Brooklyn as the ball's cleared to Gavin Field. Oh, cleverly does a one-hand in these conditions. He's played well, but really has had many teammates.
Absolutely terrible now.
Oh, Paul Plunkett gets the ball somehow to centre half forward. Rod Hodgetts on the forward line at the moment. Normie Cowans mops up though.
Look at Hobbsy.
Graham Hobbs on his own out there, but Mark Pearce runs him down as Graham Hobbs, somehow got the ball clear, but strength, using his strength, he's let it go.
Cowan's again coming forward.
Cowan's coming forward. He's probably wanted to play on the forward line today. Sheehan knocks the ball clear, but oh dear, it's hard conditions as Mark Pearce pulls him down, not really with the football, we feel. Graham Hobbs there again. Captain Gavin Field, number 17, gets the ball clear cleverly. Free kick though, downfield, as Darryl Carey probably hasn't been a feature player today, but he's a good footballer in the dry conditions. Shepherded, half shepherded there. Looks like young Saltmarsh. Middup, might be Middup. Nathan Middup, I should say, takes the mark.
And Middup kicks it forward again. Oh, there's high contact there on Sheehan, yes, and there's a free kick. That was pretty poor play from Carey. Not too impressed with the decision, but it was easily there. It's, the Sharks are gone now. I think they know it. The heads are dropped down. And Troy's in no hurry to pick this ball up. The time clock will just continue to tick down. And the Sharks keep making changes off the bench, but it's all too late. And Sheehan kicks it in, and that's Norm Cowans. He's had a great game too. The whole defence of the Tigers has been terrific today. And another long kick. His kicking's been an absolute feature today in the wet. Oh, nearly a great mark there to Oberada, but it's not been given. And the Sharks clear again once more. Elliot Rogers, a bit of skill there from the big fella. And he just pumps it back in again. Looks like Adrian Hall dropped what he should have taken. And Paul Devine nearly got onto the loose ball there. But again, it looks like another ball up's going to occur by the looks of it.
Well, I tipped the Tigers in these conditions, Jim, but really I've just been disappointed that the Sharks really have sort of gone down without a yelp, really. They just haven't had the ball out of the middle. Looks like a first run for the day for Greg Stubbs. So Stubbs, yes, he's very clean, but no doubt he'll soon have mud all over him. But look, Jeremy White clears the ball now to the top of the square, but no smothered. Sheehan for the Tigers kicks the ball, but look, he's quite happy to see that ball go out of bounds, touched out of bounds, as the air conveyance of the pigskin is about to be brought in again. Young Nathan Russell looks like about to throw the ball in. Right alongside the point post. Robert Oberada gets the tap, yes, another stat for him. Oh, Matthew Beattie. Matthew Beattie played on, but it's a goal anyway. It's a goal anyway. Well, I'd like to see the replay of that one. He played on, he got a half kick at it. And it might have been Graham Hobbs, or could have been Sheehan, might have got the final touch on that one. The scoreboard shows 8-4-52 Brooklyn Tigers. 8-4-52 Brooklyn Tigers, and they lead a disappointing Boat Harbour Sharks, 1-3-9. But really, Jim, I'd have to say Boat Harbour really have had a fair dinkum go today. I just think that they really looked inferior today with the general play around the ground. Just haven't been able to adapt like the Tigers have been able to adapt to these very awkward or very difficult conditions. And out of the middle, I'd have to say Tigers have thrashed them.
Yeah. Well, that's really where games are won and lost in modern football, is in the centre, and like you said, not so much the ruck duels maybe, but certainly on the ground. You know, the likes of Turali and White have just constantly got the ball out of the centre and given their forwards the first chance to get their hands on it. But the Tigers all around the ground, they wouldn't have one weak link, and I just feel the Sharks all season have been so good in dry weather, and the only trouble they've had all year has been when the weather's got a bit wet, and again they've been found out again for just not being able to match the physical one-on-one that the Tigers are given.
Just looking at the physique of the players around the ground, I think that's a fair comment. I think the Tiger players, there's many more players with a physique probably better suited to these conditions, and when you look at it, I think that's certainly the case. Guys like Eastley, Jeremy White himself, Dallas, the big guy in the back line, I'm trying to think of his name now, Normie Cowans. They've really got some solid footballers. There's Jeremy White, he's a very good mud runner, that player, don't worry about him. As Graham Hobbs, I should say, comes off for a rest, and he knows the game's parcelled up, and he's been a great acquisition in the last 2 weeks. A preliminary final where they got past the Central Coast Swans after a bit of a scare in the first half, and now he's come back from Hobart for the grand final this week, and he's been a really important cog in that forward line. And really, Graham Hobbs is another player, Jim, that his physique really suited these conditions. As Stubbs gets the ball, first kick for the game, and he gets the ball to boot. Kim Turali, another player who's been very, very prominent in the wet, and again, I believe he's better suited than some of the on-ballers of the Sharks, Kim Turali. He dives under the packs and he gets the ball.
Snap.
Dallas has a snack and he hangs his head or throws his head back. He realised as soon as he kicked the ball that was going to be out of bounds. Just looking at the better players, well, you know, like we've mentioned Jeremy White, but Paul Devine and players like that. So we see the ball's kicked in straight to the Tigers. It's difficult to see but who the player is. But look, that was a poor clearance by the Boat Harbour boy and Boat Harbour player, and really another chance for the Tigers to really put even a greater distance between the two scores. Looks like Dallas coming in, a good kick off the boot, but it's just a little bit right of the goal, right hand upright, and it's gone behind the stick for 1 point. It's another one behind the stick, Jim.
Yeah, that humour's about as good as the weather there, Bevan. But anyway, the Sharks are kicking the ball back in, and Hall has tried hard all day. He's been easily their best player. And but just, you know, it's only been one of him. He needed 20 Sharks having about as much of a go as Hall's had today, and they would have had a chance. But Mark Pearce has tried hard. Hodgetts, well, I think he was kicking it to his wife in the stands, but straight out of bounds. And it looks like Mark Harris, an old stalwart of the Tigers, and he brings the ball back in to Jeremy White. It's been a core of Tigers that have been around for years, and they're just still together, still teaming well.
Yeah, well, Jeremy White spent a couple of years in Sydney and he's returned this year, and great to see him back. And Mark Harris, well, he had a really major injury there for a year or two, and it's great to see him back in the Tigers side, and he'd be really tickled pink to be able to play. But the ball's pushed forward. We're not concentrating too much on the footy. The ball at the moment, the ball's pushed out by Boat Harbour, and they're still battling away. Normie Cowan's getting a new lease of life in the forward line here. He normally plays on the forward line. Robert Oberada, number 4, as Turali, knocks it to Turali. He kicks it forward. Boat Harbour spill the ball.
A lot of marks.
Oh, it looks like Troy Sheehan kicks the ball. Adrian Hall waiting for the ball, bounce over his head. He clears the ball well for Boat Harbour. Great kick on his wrong foot as who's that? Looks like it's the ball still in. No, it's out of bounds. And Rod Hodgetts, disappointed look on his face as he knows full well this game's over. Game, set and match for the Boat Harbour Sharks as young Russell throws the ball in. He's dripping wet, but they've done a great job, the umpires, in very difficult conditions. Elliot Rogers can't get that ball. Middle pushes the Boat Harbour player in the back. Could have been a free. Harry's played a pretty good game today, Harry. It looks like Morton for Tigers. Boat Harbour try to clear the ball. They do so. And that's big Eastley, by the look of it. Knocks it down, playing in front, Tiger player. Well tackled Jeremy White. Ball not clear. At this stage, we can't see a clear... Oh, no, it's cleared by Gavin Field for the Sharks. Townsend's got the ball, handballing. Oh, yeah, he got the ball clear to Ian Walker, who's been relatively quiet. Brian Cameron, former coach of the Tigers, still fairly clean out there. They better bury him in the mud, I think, when the siren goes. But at the moment, the Sharks still diving around. Elliot Rogers kicks the ball off the ground. And looks like Adrian Hall. Play slowed down a bit. Adrian Hall kicks wide to Hodgetts, who can't keep his footing as the Tigers clear the ball to centre half forward. Tiger player looks like Harris again. He's had a fair bit of the ball lately. Kicks the ball off the ground. Comes to Sheehan, to Vine, and Eastley looks as if he's taken a diving mark right at centre half forward, and he might be able to kick this ball from here. Jim, do you think it's too far in these conditions?
Oh no, it's a thumping kick, this fella. He kicks it a mile, but you can just look at the Sharks around the ground. All they want to do is get in the sheds. They want to forget today pretty quickly, and they're just waiting for the siren to go so they can go home. The Tigers say they can stay out there for ages, and they won't care about this temperature and about the rain. And that's a great kick, and that has been touched by Gavin Field. Well, great positioning there by Terry Thorpe, the goal umpire, and all the umpires here have done a grand job today. There's been no controversy, no disagreements really on the ground. And Gavin Field now kicks it back in once more.
They've had a fairly easy day, the umpires today, I think, Jim. Really, a game like this, there's not many decisions they've had to call that have been difficult. As the ball's kicked off the ground by Maguire, he's been a bit quiet this half. And he just throws the ball down. There's no point in doing anything silly today now, Paul. No point at this stage of the game. You've won the game of football. No point throwing. Well, the Tigers celebrate. That's their 5th premiership in a row. That's their 7th premiership in the 90s. So since 1990, that's 10 years of 10 seasons of football. That's their 7th premiership, and really that's just highlights the strength of this club. As one of the first players to congratulate the coach, Andrew McLaren, is Rod Hodgetts, and no doubt a very proud Andrew McLaren, the 5th coach in a row for the Tigers, different coach. And so really Barney Miller very disappointed coming off the ground, shaking his head and no doubt very disappointed. And as the Tiger players celebrate, no doubt the Sharks will be left pondering another opportunity gone missing, another big chance gone down the drain. And really I just think today, similar to last year, conditions very difficult, probably more difficult than they had to play in before, and the better side was the one that adapted to the conditions, and certainly Brooklyn Tigers did that. They played the football, I believe, that was required off the ground at all costs, whether it be by hand or foot. And I thought their running play, as Jim said earlier, throughout the call, that they were able to run in numbers more effectively. They seemed to have 2 or 3 around the ball at all times, whereas the Sharks sometimes, yeah, as we see the Tigers running themselves, throwing themselves in the mud. There's a few players out there that didn't get really muddy that came on late in the game, but no, they'd be pumped. There's some players who've played in, I think, 4 or 5 premierships. Andrew McLaren would have been his 5th straight premiership game, I would believe. So, yeah, I just reiterate, I just think the Tigers played the better football in these conditions, and they've been there before. They've played in these conditions, and they like this ground. They've lost very few games here, Jim, over the years. I think that's another statistics. Mind you, Boat Harbour do play well here, but I think that Tigers have lost very few games here.
Yeah. Well, you've just missed Absolute Classic. They got the coach, Andrew McLaren, found the biggest mud hole there was and just threw him straight in it. So that's the joys of coaching for you.
Good on Boat Harbour.
Yep. And so the Tigers now, as they leave the ground, they go into the sheds. Fantastic performance for the Tigers. They're coming down here ready to receive the cup in a couple of minutes. The Boat Harbour side, well, they're thinking of what might have been in the middle of the ground, but they've had a great year. 2 years running now, they've been on top. Won the minor premiership, but they've just failed on the last day in September. But good effort from Gavin Field, and they'll be back next year for sure. Just listen to the Tigers.
We could probably hear that through the effects microphone. The Tigers theme song ringing out loud and clear. And look, they've come in as underdog. They've come in as underdog. Some people even doubted whether they could make the grand final. But look, they've come through, proved the critics wrong. I didn't think they'd win the game yesterday, but when I saw the conditions, I thought they had a big chance. And yeah, they've certainly done that. They've come out and absolutely massacred Boat Harbour on the scoreboard. And that would be Boat Harbour's biggest loss by this year. They've only lost the 1 game, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that was their biggest loss for the year. And so we see the Tigers celebrate, and it's always disappointing to see the other side of football where the losing team out there commiserating, and no doubt Gavin Field talking to his players, trying to console his players. But really, what can he say in a situation like this? They didn't play the football that was required in these conditions, and he'd be very disappointed, Gavin. But I hope he's back next year, and I think that Boat Harbour might be able to go the next step next year, Jim, with a bit of luck. And you know, they had a lot on their side today, but I thought the conditions beat them, and they weren't able to adapt as well as Brooklyn. On that note, we'll sign out. Thank you for my assistant, Dale Highland, on video, and Jim Kelly.